Well, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome back to C Plus Content and Cowboys and Cthulhu, which is a Weird West game that more or less uses the Call of Cthulhu Down Darker Trails rule set, except that someone can't be bothered to actually read all the rules, or uses the rules to make stuff up and then forgets how that happened and think it was random. So we just had that conversation. So I outsmart myself on a daily basis. Hey, we should let everyone know who everyone is before we dive in. So this time, let's start with Erthos.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erthos, playing Jack, a gambler. You can find me here on C Plus Content and in chat rooms for a lot of the folks here on stream and our friends. Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm playing Anna Elliott, and I can also be found here and in various associated channels.
Hey everybody, I'm Chev. You can usually find me around on people's channels and playing a card game on the internet twice a week. I will be playing Arson Armstrong.
Yes. Who is?
Oh, who is an investigator currently on vacation trying to get a bunch of people he barely knows to, go on a big game hunt.
Yeah. It just turned out really well so far. Hey, villain.
I'm your only villain. You can find me here at C Plus Content, hopefully more often, and then various channels. I will be playing Ron Phoenix, who is a cowboy, kind of just on his own adventure to have some fun, I guess.
Yeah, but you're like the silver spoon cowboy, right?
Yeah.
Right. You're the kind of rich kid cowboy.
Correct.
Which I'm sure goes over really well with the real cowboys, but that's fine. You're also kind of tough and mean, so that works. Hey, SJ.
I'm SJ or SJ_sidekick. I do not stream, but you can often find me here. I will be playing Jane, definitely my real name. I'm playing a confidence trickster. Came to this town for a new start, legitimate business, new clientele, all that. So, just been looking into that. The stuff happened, and I won out, so that's where we're at for me.
But maybe you have hints and clues to the location of the Fountain of Youth.
That's fine. I can deliberate that away from what just happened.
Well, what did just happen since you brought it up?
Oh, geez. So it all started with a friendly game of cards with no shenanigans whatsoever. I actually won a hand despite not playing much and not really knowing how to play. Then someone brought up hunting at some point, and something about a white bear and then going for wolves or bears or something because it pays. So then we all went out on this hunting trip. Didn't make it very far. We got like an hour out of town in this rundown abandoned village type deal with this big old church in the middle. And so we ran around there because Ron fell in a hole almost immediately. Got him out, saw some evidence, thought, oh, maybe the bear's here. As we were exploring around setting up camp, we saw something glowing in a well. So naturally we sent Anna down there because she was the smallest with a rope. She grabbed it out. It was this cool little somewhat glowy thing with a symbol thing on it. One of the houses had some disturbing markings and writings all over the walls, but probably fine. A couple of the boys went fishing, came back, hung it up so that we could tell if the bear came, but we all just decided to go to sleep. All slept in the same place. Ron had a weird dream about some weird feral zombie Wendigo thing eating him, attacking him. I had a great dream because we got this young man that basically served as a guide for us out there, and in the dream, he was obviously wanting some Jane. So, we went out for a walk, and we went out to the church, and, he's all flirting, whatever, typical. Then I got really, really hungry. Not like thirsty, like hungry. And something I woke up. He was not in the original building we were in. I believe it was Anna who went into the church first, found scattered remains everywhere, like blood everywhere. Looked like he was ripped apart by like an animal, but there was no paw prints or anything, so super weird. It wasn't like he was dragged in or something. Very mysterious. Didn't want to stick around to solve that mystery though, so I believe me, Jack, and Ron decided, you guys look into this. We're gonna go back to town, get some help, alert the authorities about what happened, have fun. And so we're on our way back to town. And there, Anna, the doctor, of course, is taking samples and all stuff, trying to figure stuff out.
Yes. And as a subplot, yes, go ahead, Arson.
Oh, question. Because I think that was right around the time when my computer decided to crash, was when you were going over the dreams. Am I correct in assuming there has not been a chance for us to like share the dreams around, even if we
Correct.
were inclined to?
Correct.
Yes. So
I mean,
Ron
it's a
did wake
dream.
up screaming, but no one like questioned it. Like he
Okay.
woke up screaming, everybody kind of was like, and he
Yeah,
was like, oh,
get
it's
back to bed.
nothing, and then went, yeah, go back to bed.
Yeah.
And then that was pretty much about it.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So no one knows about the dreams except the individual people who had them. As a subplot, Arson made contact with someone in town, Harwood, California, Harwood, Colorado, who is a member of the Colorado Detective Agency, and let him know that there was a fugitive from justice and alleged mass murderer who had theoretically passed through the area, and kind of asked Arson to keep his eyes out in exchange for loaning him a horse and giving him a little cut of the bounty if they are able to bring one Silas Marks alive back to justice, and a little bit, actually a lot less money if they bring him back dead. But something strange happened to this upstanding member of Denver society and caused him to become a bit of a pest, and then apparently he murdered some people. And some evidence that you found in this derelict mining area, the place with the church and the hole that Ron fell in, suggested that at least someone who wasn't entirely compos mentis was hanging out in this area a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And your trap did not, in fact, catch a wolf or bear or anything. Now, Anna, however, being a physician, did find not only that there were elements of Ezekiel, your guide's body, missing, presumably eaten, but there was a kind of mass of tissue and hair that didn't appear to belong to Ezekiel. The hair was covered in all sorts of unspeakable stuff, so it was hard to tell, but it does appear to be of a particularly light color. So there's that. And Jane, I believe, currently has the strangely carved fist-sized piece of radium.
Yeah, but it doesn't match the markings, those
It does
weird
not match
markings
the
in the
markings.
house, so it's totally fine.
It's probably completely fine. And you are currently taking it with you to town, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Cool. So, since you don't have your guide, who would like to be the one to take lead on finding? I mean, it's not like it's that hard. You're mostly just going downhill. I'm more curious about timing. So who would like to take lead on navigating the group of deserters? I mean, those who are returning back to town to get help, to make sure that they don't, fall off a cliff or something.
I can
We're
do it.
responsible.
Yeah. I think that is going to be, probably, I think it's navigate. Well, no, navigate is meant to be, let's just do survival. I think that's probably not what that's meant for, but that's fine.
Survival?
Yeah.
Not, no, I guess would it be tracking? I mean,
No.
okay.
Well, you know what? You could certainly track your own path. It might give
I
you,
love that.
it might be different stuff. But you could certainly, instead of trying to remember or read the landscape, you could try to just follow your own path.
Every single one of us has a 10 in survival.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I was like,
Here or not here.
Yeah, I like the tracking thing.
All right. Go ahead and roll it up.
So I have a 70 in tracking, and I rolled a 79.
Cool. You want to do something about that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and use. Is it if it hits directly on, it's a pass, right?
Yeah, you can use luck points. We do have, I believe, if you'll click exclamation point status,
Or
I think we
minor
have
boons.
minor boon would reduce your roll by 10, so that would also do it.
Yeah, let's just do that then. Let's do a minor boon.
69.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Fun fact, house rule: if you get a 69, weird stuff happens.
No.
And not the good kind. Let me just type that in.
Maybe to the dude named Ron Phoenix.
I know, right? Yeah. At first, it's actually somewhat difficult. I think because,
Like a day's passed.
well, it's not so much time. It's just that a significant portion of kind of your recent travel before you got to the abandoned mining encampment was fairly rocky. So there wasn't a lot, and but eventually you find the trail. I will say you also notice that, or at least gain the suspicion that someone has been on the road fairly recently. As a reminder, everything that you noted, and the information that you got from Ezekiel is that the pastor in Harwood comes up here every once in a while just to make sure everything's okay and take care of the church and things like that. But to Ezekiel's knowledge, very few people come up this way. And you're not certain, but as you're searching around, you find evidence that suggests that someone has been this way much more recently.
Heading up towards the church or heading back down to.
I'm going to say, since it was a near
town?
failure, it's very hard to tell. But it's not like well-defined multiple horse prints or footprints down the middle of the road, because that's what you're seeing on your own. It's just that as you were casting around, you saw kind of towards the edge of the road and maybe even weaving in and out of rocks and scrub and trees and stuff, just sign that someone has been in the area.
So I don't know if I'm seeing this correctly, guys, but it looks like we might have some company around, either headed up towards the church or is heading back down to the town in front of us.
What kind of company?
I don't know. It looks like another kind of like a horse print, like so someone kind of traveling by themselves, it almost looks like. So we should probably either hurry up and get back in town or get back to the group.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. Well, the good news is that because you are going down into the valley, it takes somewhat less. And I think, as we established, you're not racing, you're not putting your horses at risk, but you're going with all deliberate speed. So it probably only takes you about 40 minutes to reach town. And perhaps a few people are kind of like, oh, those are people who left yesterday, whatever. The strangers are back. Where do you go?
I would like to go see the priest.
The sheriff's station or police station or whatever, law enforcement.
Cool.
Yeah, Jack is definitely going to the sheriff's office.
Oh, so you
Ron, where are you going?
You split the party further. Love it.
Well, Ezekiel said that the priest constantly goes up there, or goes up there fairly often. So I figured maybe ask him if he's ever seen anything interesting up there or odd, and then we can kind of head over to the police station afterwards.
after. What if the thing's still up there? No, we need to get the cavalry, man.
Okay. Follow your lead.
You can go grab the priest if you want. Doesn't take 3 of us to tell the story.
It's town. You're safe.
I also don't know what a priest is going to do with a dead body murdered in a church.
I mean, lay it to rest.
Yeah. What priests do?
Yeah, but that's not going to help us figure out what the hell happened.
I don't know.
Whatever. Let's just.
So it sounds like Ron's heading to the church, which is, by the way, a perfectly reasonable thing to do. And Jane and Jack, who are our most upstanding citizens who definitely don't have records halfway across the West, are going to go and find the sheriff. So let's do sheriff first. So yes,
I'll never understand religious people.
Yes. You make your way to the sheriff's office / the city jail, town jail, which of course is empty and locked because it's like Saturday morning or something.
Like, empty as in, like, there's nobody in the entire building?
Oh, it's teeny tiny.
Okay.
It's literally like a lockable room to lock people into, and then a spot for the sheriff to hang out.
Do we know where the sheriff lives?
You can ask around.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely try and flag somebody down and ask some questions.
Sure. Someone probably hauling a wheelbarrow of something, mucking out some stalls or something. Will eye you suspiciously when you ask for the sheriff, because clearly something's wrong, and will probably, being a small town nosy person, ask, why do you need the sheriff?
Something happened outside of town.
What?
There's been a death.
A suspicious death? Was
Is
someone
there
murdered?
Such a thing as a not suspicious death? Probably. It's a dead body. I don't know how it got there.
Okay. And then they'll direct you to the sheriff's house, and then immediately leave their wheelbarrow full of straw and dung and move directly towards somewhere else, probably to go and spread the news.
Yeah, go and spread the gossip.
Yeah. Because nothing ever happens here. So yes.
Knocking on the sheriff door.
Yeah. It's still, I mean, it's not early in the morning. But yes. Kind of a middle-aged guy, very, very long, kind of bushy but also a little bit droopy mustache, a little salt and pepper, very, very sun-weathered, but handsome, handsome and kind of square-jawed, kind of like an old Clint Eastwood, right? You can tell it was probably a handsome fellow back in his day, but is now getting a bit on in years, and you can kind of tell by the way he opens the door, by the gait of his steps on the wooden floors of his home, and then kind of the way he opens the doors, like maybe he's had a couple of injuries because his gait isn't completely even, and he kind of looks a little bit like he's gonna take him a couple of hours to limber up. But he pops open and sees 2 people he doesn't know, and then looks at you closely, and you can almost see him go, oh, I've seen these people around. All right, what can I help you with?
Sheriff, we need you outside of town. There's been what appears to be a murder, and we don't have any clues or anything to go, and we need help.
Well, what makes you think it's a murder? First of all, who's dead?
Boy named Zeke. Young local.
Oh. Well, I know his mother. That's terrible. Well, you say murder. Now, we are pretty cautious about throwing around accusations. This is a small, quiet, peaceful place. We haven't had any significant crime other than petty theft due to people being drunk in a year or more. So before you go and saying around to everyone that it's murder, you better have some evidence.
Well, I would have thought it was an animal attack with the way it looked, but there was blood and body parts everywhere and no paw prints, nothing.
And you two are trained investigators.
That's why we came and got you.
Yeah,
Well,
we didn't touch anything, sir.
came and got me telling me there's a murder, and now you're saying it's probably an animal attack. So
I said I would have thought it was an animal attack. Our doc up there can't explain it either.
And I'm not familiar with any animal who drapes a body across an altar.
what?
It was up by the old church
Mm.
up outside of town.
All right. Let's keep this to yourselves. Probably just an animal attack. Maybe a bear or den of wolves or something like that. Trying to hole up for the winter early or something. But there's probably a logical explanation, but we best not be putting it around town that something sinister is happening, at least until we get more information.
Certainly.
Are you going back up right now?
As soon as you're ready.
All right. Give me 15 minutes.
Sure.
And he'll shut the door.
We need to go back?
I mean, I don't think we need to, but given how quickly he moves, I think if we don't, the wind will knock him over.
He's not frail. He's just a little gimpy. What do you do in the intervening 15 minutes?
Jack kind of just like not so much like wrings his hands, but seems to have like a twitch going on with his hand, just nervous anxiety.
But you're just kind of pacing out in the dusty street.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's cut to Ron, who goes and I assume knocks on the door of the chapel.
I mean, if it's just a church, I would just try to walk in.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna locate the father, just kind of call out to him.
There in a second. And a man comes out. He's much younger than you would have thought. I mean, this is someone who's maybe in their 20s. Myopic. Kind of round glasses. Hair kind of slicked back in what was like an attempt to a somewhat fashionable hairstyle, but maybe like a little overgrown. Like looks like maybe he made an attempt to shave yesterday, but not today. And like probably like the beard would be very
shadow.
Well, the beard would be kind of patchy anyway, and the fact that he hasn't tried to shave today makes it even more wispy. Lending him a look that, although you estimate his age as somewhere in the 20s, he looks even younger than his young age.
Okay.
And kind of comes out and then sees you, who are a little rough and tumble, and he kind of involuntarily takes a step back. Yes? What can I help you with?
I'm not here to harm you, Father, but
That doesn't make me feel doesn't make me feel better. I wasn't thinking that you were going to harm me until you said it.
I saw the step back, but
okay. He has an accent. He has kind of like an East Coast accent. He clearly is not native to the area.
So Ezekiel told me that you go up to the old church every once in a while to kind of make sure things are good and shaped up there?
Yes.
Have you ever recognized or saw anything weird in any of the cottages or at the church?
Nothing worth reporting. No, I don't go into the old cabins. They're dangerous. Why?
So me and the fellows that went up there yesterday, so we had to camp at one of the cabins, and we woke up to someone dead in the chapel.
Someone's dead in the chapel. Who?
Ezekiel.
Oh no, I know his mother.
Here. So.
Are you sure?
I'm sure it's Ezekiel. He was with us, and then
what was he doing in the church?
Don't know. We went to sleep. He was with us. Woke up.
Were you sleeping in the church?
Some type. No, we were sleeping in one of the cabins.
Why?
At least one of them that was semi put together.
Why were you in the cabins?
Because we wanted a shelter instead of sleeping out underneath the stars. Having four walls around you was a lot safer than wide open space.
You were at most an hour from town. Why did you decide to stay out of town as opposed to come back?
Camping's fun.
In a dangerous,
Don't worry about it.
dilapidated cabin?
We don't need to get hung up on details here. There's a dead boy in a church that needs to be attended to.
Ah, well, he does deserve last rites. Have you notified his family?
Notified you first. Two of my companions went to the sheriff's, to the station to go get the sheriff. So we have not talked to the parents yet. For at least from what I understand.
And you're certain it's Ezekiel?
I'm going to sell the boy's face dead on the altar.
Well, there wasn't, to be clear, there wasn't a lot of face left.
That's fair. I
mean, he's missing and there's someone dead. So it's not unreasonable to assume it's the same. But if you had to identify him, it would be hard because there was a lot of damage. But you can say whatever you like. Well, I suppose he and his family are members of my flock. I had best attend. But I will tell you if this is some sort of ruse. I'm a pastor. I have no money. There's no profit in trying to lure me away.
Why would I joke about a dead boy?
I don't know. People are strange, particularly strangers. Kind of where the name comes from.
Okay. I mean, if you don't believe me, you don't believe me, but we're going to head back up there once the sheriff is ready, or my companions get the sheriff. We're going to head back up there. So if you want to ride with us with the family.
Yes, I think I had better check it out for myself. And the sheriff's coming with?
From what I understand.
All right, that makes me feel better. Apologies if I'm seem paranoid. But we don't get many strangers in town. And one never knows what to expect. Also, you, pardon me, don't look like a particularly God-fearing man.
Fair. I'm going to take out, I'm going to assume like we have some type of pocket watch or some type of clock on us. I'm just going to take it out and be like, we're leaving in 15 minutes. And then
you're rich. You probably do have a
pocket
pocket watch. Yeah, pocket watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just head out. And he kind of, he waits until you leave, and then you can hear the little wooden bolt latch in the chapel door after you go.
I'm going to go try to find Jane and Jack.
Cool.
So I'm going to go over to the station.
Yeah,
because I knew that's where they were going to go in.
Yeah, it's not. It only takes a few minutes before you figure out and see them pacing out in front of a house. And more or less as you arrive, the sheriff comes out, kind of pulling on a jacket over his shirt sleeves and waistcoat. All right, I guess we better get going.
You don't have any deputies or anything you want to bring? Just you?
For what? A dead boy?
What if they're still out there?
And then he says low. It's like for just a. I don't think he's of any threat to us.
What if the creature is still out there?
Well, if it was a bear, probably caught him unaware.
And if it wasn't?
Mountain lion.
I mean,
would stalk a lone person, but would leave a group of people. My guess is that you folks don't know what you're doing out in the. Although he would, but perhaps, but for whatever reason, he separated himself from the party, and then a predator got after him.
Well, Sheriff, there was some struggle marks outside of the church. It looked like two human beings struggling. At least that's what it looked like. I mean, an animal would have killed the person out in the middle of the street, not drug them into the church.
Who knows? I'll take a look.
Okay. Well, Father's coming along with as well.
Why?
He attends the church up there. I mean, the boy needs to be put to rest if...
I guess that makes sense. You all have horses?
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, Reverend Tilton does not, so I imagine he'll be riding with me. Does he know to come here?
I would assume he would be outside here shortly.
So you wait around a while, and eventually go and find Reverend, who's just standing in front, looking around for people. He's got a little like battered leather valise with him, and then kind of probably looks at you and starts trudging out of town, and then eventually the sheriff will, come on, Reverend, get on back. Pulls him up.
I mean,
And
do you need all of us to come? I mean, Ron can lead you back up there. Me and Jack can stay and wait for you at the station.
you wouldn't be trying to sneak out of town now, would you?
I knew you were gonna say that. If we wanted to sneak out of town, we wouldn't have come got you first.
Fair point.
Yes.
You staying over at the Cedar Lodge?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
All right. Well, I know where to find you. So who's going back, and who's staying in town?
I would be going back.
So Ron's going
Earlier.
back with the sheriff and Reverend Tilton, and Jack and Jane are staying in town.
Yeah, Jack will go straight to the Cedar Lodge for a big breakfast and a very strong drink or three.
Cool. And then Jane goes somewhere completely different, so we can fully split the party.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to the lounge. I want to like clean up and get my head straight and not go back to the place with the awful murder scene.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe look at this rock a little more.
Okay. You want to look at the rock some more? So yeah, you head up to your room to clean up. And there's like, I mean, you guys were reasonably careful, but there's like maybe some blood on your boots that you want to get off. And Jack just heads straight for a morning whiskey, which I'm sure is completely fine.
Totally normal.
Ernie is like, back so soon? Did you get a big catch?
I didn't, but I learned that the wilderness does not agree with my constitution.
I could have told you that.
Yeah,
All right.
I should have listened.
Oh well. Here's some eggs to go with that.
Appreciate it.
Can't
Thanks,
have you
Ernest.
passing out in my parlor first thing in the morning. So Jane goes up, probably washes up in the wash basin, changes clothes, and then is going to spend some time examining the glowing artifact. Well, the good news is with the shutters pulled in your room, it is dim enough that you can see the glow more clearly. Hey, make a sanity check for me. I'm going to say at a -10 penalty. Because you have already...
57, so
Failed.
67.
Okay.
So, okay, yeah, I made it.
Okay. How close was that?
57, 67, and I'm at 76.
Okay, so not right on the hair. I will say your experience with it is, it's alluring. It's almost like the physicality of the stone is just like it's a paper mache shell. And this is not so much your physical experience, but more like how it feels. It feels like it's some very thin shell, like almost like the shell of an egg. And something about the glow or whatever the glow comes from just feels more real to you. The experience of what you see with your eyes of the glow is more real than the tactile sense. Almost as if it's disguised as a rock, but there's some other true nature to it that seems, I wouldn't say beautiful, because that's not the sense that you get, but it is alluring, and you experience a little bit of awe just as you kind of move it around and maybe like pull up the covers so you can get a really good look at it in the darkness. It is magical.
At least one good thing came out of this.
Well, given how we know your mind works, this could be a very powerful tool. I will also say that since we know how your mind works, it seems quite valuable. You don't know exactly what its material value is in terms of the weight of radium. But if you can recognize its ability to beguile the rubes, surely someone else can as well. So you can do what you would like, but I would say it probably occurs to Jane that it bears protecting. And it does occur to you that maybe more people than you would like know that it exists.
Yeah, well, thanks, Anna.
And the fact that you are not there to guide the story that is told to the sheriff maybe occurs to you as like, oh, they're just going to tell the sheriff and the sheriff's going to take it. Didn't think of that, did you?
I chucked it out in the woods, though, because I thought it had something to do with it.
So you disposed of evidence?
Oh, no, that's what I'm telling them. I didn't realize it was evidence.
Okay. Well, how are you going to back up the fact that you threw it away into the woods?
Or I could say I just left it there. I wasn't thinking about it with everything that happened.
Sure.
Someone else probably picked it up.
Sure no one saw you with it.
Not recently.
Yeah. I'm sure it's fine. So you just think up your story. Cool.
Yeah.
Jack.
I gotta find a place to hide this thing, though.
Oh, so where are you gonna hide it?
Where would a good place to hide it be?
Maybe at the bottom of a well.
Without skipping town now and ruining the whole campaign.
Oh, you can try to skip town.
Just do like a bottom of a boot.
I feel like I can't have it in my room. I want to like bury it somewhere though either. Do I know of any good places? Like, is there anywhere that's...
How about just let's do spot hidden.
Okay.
Just as a like what you might have noticed.
All right, 28.
Which is quite good, right?
Yes, I have a 50.
Okay,
so not a critical,
not quite a hard success, but still
Yeah.
very, very good. Yeah. So I mean, maybe you think the well, and then you think it's going to be really hard to get it out of the well, because unlike up at the old abandoned mining camp, the well here has water in it. There are a couple of streams just on the outside of town, and you think that if you you could, in theory, go for a walk and then stick it under a prominent rock, and because of the play of light on the water, as long as it wasn't at night, people probably wouldn't notice the glow. Yeah, but there are a variety of root cellars. There's closets and storage. Actually, there's probably a full basement here or close to a full basement here at Cedar Lodge, just to keep ale and liquor and things cooler.
Probably, how big is it?
It's fist-sized, maybe a little bit bigger than fist-sized. You can hold it in one hand, but you can't close your fingers around it.
Okay. I'll probably do the stream thing, try to cover it in some mud to keep the glow down, and then put it in a specific place, and then I can wash my hands in the stream.
Cool. Yeah. You do. And Jack gets drunk. All right, so Ron is peppered with questions.
Okay.
The entire way up. And I would say you even catch Reverend Tilton a couple of times looking at you suspiciously and maybe even saying a few quiet words to the sheriff, who just remains very stony-faced, but he is keeping his eye on you. And he does insist that you go in front, and he is armed. But he's not being rude. He's just clearly on edge.
Yeah.
All right. So, Arson and Anna, during the, at least 2 hours that you are left alone in this creepy abandoned mining camp and desecrated church and the cabin with the strange carvings in the wall that make you very slightly lose your mind. What do you do?
So as we're watching the others go off, Arson turns to Anna. So take it you're of the scientific, the investigative mindset.
Yes. More science than investigative, but I'm learning.
Okay. Arson is going to turn and walk towards the church. So this was all surprising at first, but I think I've seen something like this once or twice. Usually they will pull out an animal. So here's how I wanted to do this. That Arson thinks that this is locals trying to scare us off of something like not a cult, but something that is like, you know, there's something they would rather us not find. Something that like maybe there's a secret mine or something, or like they've got like drugs or something, like something that like a moonshine or something, if the times line up right. Anyway, so I was thinking that like he's had people try and like scare him off of investigations before, like like, oh, here's like a dog that has been like murdered or something, or like a small animal or something. So like I think that's where his mind is going. Like this is such an unusual circumstance that he's trying to latch on to anything that he knows that's like, you know, kind of even vaguely in the same ballpark, and latching onto that. So I think if we poke around, you know, we're gonna find out that we're gonna find, you know, some boot prints. We're gonna find, you know, somebody dropped something, somebody snagged something on a pew or something, and it'll tell us who actually did this. I'm pretty sure if we poke around, we'll find something new.
So should we start poking around in the church or outside, or both?
Probably start in the church, I think, would be the better place.
All right. For context, and since you brought it up in chat, go ahead and give me an appraise roll. I will give you a plus 20.
That is a flat 50.
Okay.
And my appraise
Is I think a 5.
Yeah, it's a 5.
Yeah, I think the only person who has better than that is Jane. But so you don't know the value of the thing that Jane absconded with. But I would say that you know enough to know that it's probably, and you're not even quite sure what it is, right? But it's some sort of glowing mineral-y thing. So your guess is radium, and it glows blue, and you probably know radium glows blue. And you're not sure the purity or any of the other stuff, and maybe it's coated in. So there's a lot that you don't know, and you don't have it to examine. But I would say that even with a fail, you would know that it's quite valuable. You just don't know how valuable. And something, and maybe some of that is behind your instinct that there could be someone trying to scare you off. So you're starting where you are. Go ahead and give me a spot hidden. No, I'm sorry. Both of you, as you're now, like, it's only the two of you. You've done the initial examination. You've had some time to calm down and think and become more rational. I would like you both to give me listen.
Ooh.
That is a 19, which, yeah, is a Is definitely lower than a half. It's not lower than a fifth.
Okay, so it's a hard success. So it's a very good result. How about you,
I got a
Anna?
37 out of 20.
Okay, so
Not great.
yeah, Anna is not paying a lot of attention. Or Anna is listening, but is more attracted by the sort of buzzing of insects that have awoken as the temperature has risen with the sun, and you're probably thinking about some interesting treatise that you read from an investigator on the continent about the ability to detect or deduce the recency of a murder on the basis of insect activity. So given your fascination with local flora and fauna, are probably fascinatedly looking at the various different insects that are attracted to the smell of blood. Arson hears kind of a drippy, slightly gloppy sound.
Okay.
And like maybe the
Can
first,
I tell?
yeah, maybe the first time you hear it, it's just like it just kind of catches your attention. The second time you hear it, you look around and you see no source. Maybe the third time you hear it, you ask Anna who's probably mumbling to herself and writing in her notebook, to be quiet, and you both sit and listen. And then maybe 15 seconds later, there's another kind of sound, very faint.
Does it sound like it's coming from below us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically,
like
it sounds like it's coming from below the rapidly drying pool of Ezekiel's blood.
Okay. So is this like a wooden church?
Yeah.
You know, kind of a couple feet off the ground, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go outside and go around to the side and see if there's if it's open on the sides, then I'm just gonna look under. But I imagine it's probably got some kind of like skirting or baseboard or something. I'm gonna look for like a door that I could like try and open from the outside.
No door. However, there are, you have to assume, a couple of like either mortared or dry stone pilings that it sits on, and then a wood frame that supports the building. And yes, there is some wooden skirting that goes down, not far enough to keep skunks and raccoons and opossums and things from crawling under. And you can see at least one area where it's clear that animals have dug underneath, just to probably just seek shelter from the elements in the winter.
Okay.
You could squeeze through it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go up back. I'm gonna poke my head back in. Anna.
Yeah.
Can you come over here for a second? Need your help.
Head over.
I'm gonna hand her my my lantern. And get out some matches, light it up. Here's what I need you to do: is hold this at the entrance while I crawl through. Like, I'm not gonna, once you can pass it to me once I'm through, but I need some light while I'm getting through, so I don't put my hand in something. But I can't manage the lantern while I'm getting under here.
Okay. Are you gonna fit under there? How tall are you in this?
Oh, he's about probably about like 6 foot.
Yeah, but you're relatively slender and fit. It's more the circumference than the height that will be there. And yeah, it does look like with a squeeze you'll be able to get through.
Okay.
Unless Anna would
Yeah.
like to go first.
I mean, I don't want to be the default climb and crawl into all the things, but also at the same time, I'm fine with that. So I can go under if you want, or you can, because you probably might see something that I don't. But also, how far are you going under there?
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe, where the dripping was, if it was under here, we're over here.
15 feet, 20 feet.
Yeah, not very far.
Should we like tie a rope to you so if you get stuck, we can pull you out?
I don't know that that'll be much help.
Fair. Okay, I'll help pull the board thing aside and kind of light the
Sure.
tunnel.
Sure. Now the good news is you don't get stuck as you crawl under. The bad news is that it is a relatively tight squeeze, which means mostly Anna is illuminating your backside as you crawl in because you fill most of the gap. There are a few you can see just like in the gap to your side as and you probably even try to crawl over to one side a bit as much as you can to enable the light to shine, but she can't really see where you're going and is also holding up something and it's kind of swinging. So really what you get is a little bit of a dim, little rapidly moving spotlight. I would say you get over the hump and are now like just like with your boots sticking out as you kind of elbow crawl your way in. It is very it's musty and there is a faint kind of animal smell, probably like skunk spray, but from at least months and months ago. So there's just that little bit of acrid, not entirely unpleasant, but very animally musky smell under here. You probably feel a few cobwebs brush and you feel something probably in the cobweb start to skitter across your cheek and you slap it. There's a wet splat.
Oh, I'm glad you went under there and not me.
So, question: what year about does this take place in?
Pre-turn of the 20th century.
Okay.
Somewhere between probably somewhere between 1875 and 1890. But it's alternate world, Weird West, so who knows?
Got it. I was just wondering if prohibition was a thing yet.
No,
but I don't think it would be.
No.
Okay. So I'm talking back as I'm going.
But liquor's super valuable, and if you're not getting regular deliveries, being able to make it is a viable source of income.
Mm-hmm. So I imagine it would be like more smuggling. I would imagine it's probably like smuggling or something, or maybe like a hidden distillery away from the taxman.
There's certainly like taxation on the importation and manufacturing. So there's probably, you could still be a moonshiner even before prohibition.
Got it.
And the church does rail against drunkenness.
Okay. Well, thank you for the historical context. I'm like crawling through like up and I shout back as I go like, okay, well, nobody's been here in a while, but has been going on. Some animals got in. I can't really see anything. Okay, pass me the lantern. This is not doing anything.
Do such.
All right.
Because I've also got my lantern.
You kind of crawl around and grab it and then shine it inside. So the first thing that you notice as you're able to sweep the light across is glowing eyes.
That's not good.
Blue glowing eyes, in fact. That rush you. So, I am very curious how good...
We should have tied the rope.
I'm very curious at how good you are in this very constrained area in dodging.
Not very good.
I think I'll just impose a, because there's room for you to roll. So I'll just impose a 10 penalty.
Okay.
Basically reducing your dodge to 40.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad. That's doable. Look, where'd it go? Okay, I'll have to find it later. So that is a 50 and a 9. So that's a 59. That is very far off. Yeah, I am not able to dodge it. I try to, and my first thought is to like scramble backwards, but also come to my feet, and I am like in a crawl space, and it's not can't do that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you exactly what happens, but let's see. Okay, well, you take 1 point of health. But so what you see in front of you, kind of over in one of the corners, is several sets of eyes. And then with a screamy chittering, they all rush at you, and you kind of try to back away, and you can feel coming from behind you other creatures nipping at your legs and clawing up your back. These are well, you'd think they would be raccoons, but they don't, at least in the now rapidly swinging light. They appear to lack the sort of ringing pattern, and are relatively pale. So maybe possums, although you don't know possums to be quite so territorial or to congregate in quite as much of a number. But there is some, as we learned in a previous show, a group of raccoons is called a mask. There is apparently a mask of something that acts like raccoons but looks more like possums. Kind of disgusting and matted, swarming all over you. And they do get a couple of good bites and scratches in.
Okay. So I'm definitely going to die in 6 months of rabies.
Rabies doesn't take that long, but yeah.
Yeah, so as I'm like trying to brush them off, and like I think probably the first thing I'm going to try and do is put the lantern down so that I have a clear light. But that's, I mean, I'm dodging around, they're running around, so probably it's more of a like I try to put it on the ground and it knocks over. And as I am like patting at them, I am going to pull out my pistol.
Yep.
And I'm gonna try and like basically like try and catch one of them as they're like on me, basically, and I'm gonna try and shoot them while they're gripping me, because that's the when they would be like the most in one spot.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead and roll it.
So that's a fire handguns. I'm going to. So I dropped one of my dealies, and I think it fell in the trash can, but I don't have time to root around in it. So I just got. Now I have a replacement.
Man,
that is an 80.
Nice jail.
It's an 80 out of. Oh, you're even really good with handguns.
Yeah.
Would you like to do something about that?
Yeah, I am going to, because okay, this is a situation where kind of blind firing is not something I really want to be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and use that major boon.
You could use the major boon to make it an 8. Just flipping the digits.
Yeah. Well, it was an 85.
Okay, well, 58.
Not an 80.
Okay, got it. But 58 would be a significant success.
Yeah. I'm going to go for that. So 58
or you
out
could
of
re-roll.
70.
Or you could re-roll.
No, I'm gonna flip him.
All right.
Because no guarantee on the re-roll. So that's using that major boon. Flip those. Flip it and reverse it. 58 out of 70.
So you're using your peacemaker.
Yeah.
45 millimeter. So there is an almighty boom. So Anna, from your perspective, you're like, are you okay, Arson? Arson's like, oh, there's some animals under here. And then you just hear, ah! And then just rustling and chittering and a big commotion. And then a big chunk of the wall next to you explodes.
What?
As there is a deafening 45 millimeter peacemaker at close range is no small thing.
Just like to imagine Anna's like freaking out. Like, what?
Armstrong is temporarily deafened because this is in a very enclosed space, and also sprayed with the almost instantly atomized body of this creature. Go ahead.
Would Ron and the sheriff and the father hear that?
We'll say no, because at this point you guys would still be on your way out of
Okay.
town, and you probably would have come back if you heard a
Mhm.
gunshot within 15 minutes. So,
No.
or maybe you heard it and looked up, and there was you saw thunder heads on the distance, and it seemed like it was thunder or something.
Okay.
So, all right, that's what happens. The good news is that the deafening roar is enough to scare away the 8 or 10 others that weren't splattered all over the underside.
Do any
Bad
of
news
them-
is, Arson, you're just like, all you hear is ring,
Yeah, I probably have permanent hearing damage.
potentially. Oh, you probably already do. I think everyone probably
oh.
already does, but we're not going to worry
Yeah.
about that.
It's one more overtone of tinnitus.
Right.
Do any of the creepy, totally normal animals run by me?
No, none of them exit that way.
So all you know is that I just started yelling and then fired a gun 10 feet away from you.
Yeah.
I'll be like, "Are you okay? Should I pull you out?" I'm like trying to look under. Like, what are you doing?
I am wiping myself off. I am kind of hitting myself on the side of the head. I'm reholstering the gun, I'm picking up the lantern, and going back over to the entrance. And I kind of like poke my hole in my finger through the hole where I shot through, and I know that was like a couple feet away from where Anna had been standing. So I kind of like look through it, like put my eye through it. I'm looking through. I'm like, Anna, are you didn't hit you there, did I?
And it's not just like a nice little bullet hole. It's actually a fair sized chunk. So it's like
Okay.
half of your face covered in gore just pops out. And then it's like, are you okay? And then an eyeball dripping with blood and guts.
I didn't hit you, did I?
But I have a minimum on that, so it's good.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I doubt it was what we were looking for, but I found some kind of pack of raccoons down here. I think they bit me a couple times, but I've been bit worse. I think I'll be fine. Maybe let me check and see, make sure they're gone before I, because that was a tight squeeze getting into there, and I don't want them to come back up right on my butt while I'm squeezing back out. So let me make sure they're gone.
Yes, you sweep around, as I'm sure you're just shouting at maximum volume. And then you sweep the light around, and they're all gone. And I will say it's not too hard to figure out where they went. They went into the hole / tunnel. It seems to be more or less directly under the dark, wet, slowly dripping 6-foot diameter splotch,
Okay.
kind of in the middle rear of this rectangular structure. Not quite directly under, but close enough.
Okay. Are there any? Do I see any like mechanisms or like handles or like hatches or anything? So what I was thinking was, okay, this is probably a smuggler's den of some kind. They're trying to scare us off, and they think whatever they're trying to hide here is valuable enough that, like having to like get rid of a local person is still even worth the risk to scare off these outsiders who are poking where they shouldn't. I'm thinking they have, if there's an entrance to the smuggler's den, it's probably well hidden from outside, probably like easy to see once you're actually like in, so you're not just jumping around and like stabbing your hand on a rusty nail or something. So I would be looking for a way out into the top of the church, if there's such a thing.
We'll just say that you take a few minutes to examine, and you don't see any.
Okay.
I mean, you can roll spot hidden, but you've got the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that there is no latch or other mechanism. And not only first pass, it literally is what you would expect. It's crossbars and planks of wood nailed down.
Huh.
And you look in the corners, you even examine closely, and it is clearly there's nothing untoward about the underside of this floor. Are you also looking at the hole?
I'm gonna walk around the side of it, but I'm not gonna poke it down into it.
Okay, I mean, elbow crawl.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and edge around and kind of point the lantern down into it to see, but I'm not gonna stick my head in or anything.
Okay. Well, yes. There is, unless you look directly in it, it's hard to tell. It doesn't look like it was excavated with shovels and picks. It does look like it was dug sort of naturally, like a giant rabbit or badger or whatever den. I guess rabbits don't dig. Like a creature that digs, but larger. Maybe bear. Although, from what you can tell, a bear large enough to have dug this wouldn't have been able to fit in the little gap that you crawled through. And there is a smell. And you can feel air that's maybe 10 degrees cooler. It's relatively cool underneath here because obviously the sun doesn't come down. But there's the smell of wet stone. And something else, something less pleasant. And if your lantern weren't enclosed, you would anticipate that the flame inside would flicker because, you can feel on the hairs of your arms that aren't plastered down by possum guts, you can feel them tickle as this chilly air blows past.
Okay.
And even say your hearing has recovered enough that as you ooch around the outside, if there's a few pebbles and clods of earth that cascade in.
Okay.
And you can hear the hissing, slithering sound of soil going down and then plinking as if it goes down a ways and then drops some good distance.
Okay.
Onto something hard. So there's a little bit of an echo sound to it.
Okay. This is a situation where I don't want to be in a hard to get to spot and then go into an even harder to get to spot. So Arson kind of he's listening, he's hearing the plinking, he's looking at the edges of it, and he starts backing up, shuffling, army crawling backwards towards where the hole was, and he's gonna try and edge out feet first this time, just kind of back the way he came. And as he's going, okay, Anna, we're there's some kind of hole in here. He's gonna see if there's anything left of the weird raccoon. He's gonna kind of drag that along behind him.
Gross.
And I think we gotta, if we want to go in, we gotta open up something, a hole bigger than just this animal scratching. And yeah, he's just making his way back out.
Anna, would you give me a spot hidden, please?
Yeah. Ooh, a 20 out of 45.
Oh, excellent. So, Arson is giving you a overly loud play-by-play of what's happening, and then his as his hearing returns to normal, his voice softens a bit. And you are overcome with the feeling of being watched.
We're in danger. Can I take a look around?
You do. It's
Casually, like,
so
nice.
so the camera sees Arson investigating the hole, and we see the like, just like the dust motes in your lantern showing that the wind is blowing out of it, and you begin to narrate this, and then the camera comes outside and looks at Anna, who's just like thinking, and then kind of a little bit of a shiver, and then you start to look, and then you're like, "What? Let me play it cool," and you just slowly, like, maybe you're saying, "Yo, that sounds fine," Arson, "Yeah, that's a good idea," and then you just slowly catch, yes, you catch motion. Kind of over towards that one cabin that is like through the first line of trees where you found the writing.
Okay.
Not directly in front of it, but in that general area. So within the line of trees, you catch a couple of spots of motion. Flashes of a light color.
Does it look humanoid or like an animal? Or can I tell from this distance?
I would say in your brief glimpse, because it was a hard success, certainly more likely to be people because they're moving on two legs. And moving very quickly. While a bear can stand on two legs, it tends not to dart through the woods, clearly seeking cover. You even hear the kind of soft crashing through leaves and underbrush as 3 or 4 man-sized creatures, or people, seem to see you looking and quickly take cover.
Very casually. Oh, Anna's holding her scalpel very casually. Just like
paring
hey,
your nails.
Hey, but let's get out. Let's let me. You coming out? It's kind of creepy out here. I'm trying to usher Arson out of the crawl space very quickly.
You probably say that right as like he's got his boots kind of coming out the back, and you're like
grab him and pull.
Yeah.
Pull.
You're like slapping at his boots and pulling. And he is not. He's not really. His hearing's not quite back enough to like hear you like the full details. He just hears like, "Oh, you're yelling," and getting him. So he thinks this is more of the raccoons. So he's trying to pick up the pace and push himself out backwards.
Yeah, and you eventually pop back out. It's a little bit, it's awkward coming out, but you are somewhat lubricated.
I toss the kind of the upper half of one of those weird raccoon things over to the side as I get out, and I kind of scrape myself off, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I mean, it's they're weird, but I mean they're just animals. They can't really hurt us. Not really paying attention to what Anna is saying.
The animals, when they did the gross gore and everything that Arson is covered in, is it like normal looking in the sense that it looks like animal blood? You said their eyes were like glowing blue to him, but Anna doesn't know that, I think. But does it look any different?
Well, the blood and gore it's hard to tell because he's also covered in just it's become mud. Right. So it's actually quite dark, but that's not that unusual. The head and one leg that he throws out, now that everyone gets a chance to get a close look at it. First of all, please give me a sanity check, both of you.
Does this count for my limited immunity?
No,
Oh, crap.
That's a 46.
which is a pass, correct?
Yeah.
58 out of 59.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So you each lose one. This is not a raccoon.
Oh,
The one limb that is showing is an arm.
like a human arm?
Not quite. They are covered in fine, translucent hair, not white, but colorless fur. And the arm is stumpy, but it does end in kind of thick, broken claws. The head is animalistic, but not an animal. The mouth is overly large. The teeth are like fine, translucent needles, many of which are broken.
Anna's gonna quickly pop off her jacket and just cover it and say, we're gonna circle back to that.
Yeah.
Because that looks not only terrifying, but fun.
It reminds you of some of the specimens that you've seen, like in medical school, where you'd visit someone who had a variety of preserved biological curiosities. But it is not an animal species that you recognize. If anything, it seems to appear, or it seems to resemble a monkey more than a possum or a raccoon.
Okay, that's gonna be so much fun to dissect. I'm excited. In the meantime, she'll be like trying to, because feeling like being watched, kind of trying to make it look like super casual still. Be trying to like clean off Arson, but turn him around to where I saw the people and just kind of keep his vision over there while I'm brushing them off. See if they're still there, so I can also kind of look over the shoulder and peek an eye.
And are you also like telling me what you saw while you're doing that?
Well, since you can't, I am assuming you can't quite hear me yet.
Oh no, it's
You're
fine.
still yelling.
I mean, I know
Oh.
that in reality it can take minutes and minutes, like 15 minutes for it to come back. But for the sake of the narrative, you're still gonna have some ringing in your ears for a while. But it's enough that if Anna whispers a little bit louder than normal in your ear, you can hear it just fine.
Yeah, then I'll do that as I'm like cleaning them up and taking a look myself.
Yeah. My hand goes slowly down towards my hip where I have the gun holstered, making sure that it's there and that it's cocked as I'm looking around at the woods around us, trying to see if I see anything, any sign of what Anna said she saw.
Go ahead and give me spot hidden, just in case.
That is a 17 out of 60, which
Not quite 20%, right?
not quite.
But still a hard success.
Yeah.
And I got a 29 out of 45.
Okay. So Anna, you're able to direct Arson's attention to where you saw them before. Arson, you don't see anything moving. However, the door to the cabin, and maybe you shift around a little bit just so you can get an eye to it. You know that you had left the door to the cabin open. It is now closed.
The one that we slept in, or the one
No,
with the scratchings?
with the scratchings, the one that's kind
Okay.
of beyond the first tree line in the general area where Anna had seen the figures. Your hard success, you don't see any creatures or people, but you do see that you're fairly certain you left that door open, and it
Okay.
is now closed.
So I think I would have. So my shotgun is probably with like my bedroll and stuff, or strapped to the horse because, or something. Like I doubt I would have brought it over.
Yeah.
Like pistol doesn't leave my side. I don't have the gun, or I don't have my 12 gauge though. I'm gonna take out the pistol and slowly walk towards the cabin, and like creep towards it. And what I want to try to do is, like, is there like a window in the front side of the cabin, or is it like is it like very simple, just like unbroken wooden walls and a door?
Yeah, I'm going to think that there probably aren't any windows.
Okay.
A quick interjection. I'm pretty sure Arson brought the shotgun when he heard Anna scream initially. At the very start of all of this, because you said you were like pumping the shotgun on your way out.
So maybe you leaned it up against the side of the church.
Yeah. Okay. In that
yeah.
case, yeah. So I wouldn't have been able to bring it in under. I leaned it up against the side, so I hold the shotgun and I start towards the
Yes.
cabin.
Anna, what are you doing? Are you going to go with?
I'll pull out my pistol
Yes.
that I have and just kind of. I just want to keep an eye out as a backup. I don't want to go first, but I want to make sure that nothing comes up on Arson or myself. So
Yes.
I'm kind of like.
And you're so good at using your pistol, you're probably moving you're moving Arson back and forth in the firing line with your finger directly on the trigger. So that's fine. This is when you this is when a squirrel jumps out and you accidentally shoot Arson in the back. It's fine.
Never saw it coming.
Right?
Anna was the real villain.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
She manipulated all of this
So-
to get us alone.
What is your plan?
I am going to walk up on the cabin with the shotgun, not like loaded, not like up to my eye, but like ready to bring it up at a moment's notice. And I'm gonna try and, as I get closer, listen carefully to see if I can hear anything from inside. And then as I get closer, what I would like to try to do is kick the door open.
Cool. Why don't you both give me a listen? Arson, I'll impose a 10 penalty on you just because you still have the ringing.
Oh, that is a 99.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
14
Out of
20.
Out of 20. Okay, so you make it. Cool. Well, good. The good news is you both hear something. So Anna, you don't hear anything from within, but you do hear some things moving through the woods, but they appear to be receding.
Oh.
Like moving away. It's like you move to the edge of the woods and you hear things move, and then you move the extra 20 feet into the woods and arrive at the cabin, and you hear another wave of movement. Arson also hears something. The ringing in your ears becomes attenuated as you try to, and you probably, do with this in your ears, trying to clear it out. As you listen, at first you think, I'm not going to hear anything because that darn gun blast. But that ringing resolves itself into whispers, into chanting, maybe? Go ahead and give me a sanity check.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that's I'm pretty sure that's a fail. That is a 77. That's a fail.
Roll a d4, please.
D4. That is a 4.
So take 4 sand loss.
63.
And the areas where you were bitten begin to itch and throb in time with this whispered chanting.
Hmm.
And you feel a strange kind of hotness, like a wash of adrenaline, or just like a chill throughout your whole body, and you become dizzy, and then you become violently ill, probably like all over the front of this cabin. What little breakfast you had is now painted all over the silvered log walls of this long abandoned mining cabin.
Mm-hmm. I like violently vomit, and like I'm like, you can see that it's almost like I'm trying to like listen to something, but at the same time it's like pained expression on my face, and I like try and shake it off, and sorry, my cat distracted me getting up in everything. I'm going to kind of weakly shoulder, almost like not even like it's a real movement, just kind of like slump into the cabin door, and if it opens, Arson is going to raise his gun and kind of like, and it's not even really properly set anymore, just almost like hip firing, just like randomly into the room.
Are you gonna fire?
Yes, I'm firing.
All right, go ahead and roll.
That is a 70. That is a 69. So, very, very narrowly a success.
Yes, a narrow success and nice. No, so yes, you do. You just kind of fire blindly. There's another. The good news is you don't stumble inside, so you don't get another massive gun blast in an enclosed space. But it's still quite loud. It is loud enough that it drives any perception of whispered chanting out of your head, and the smell of cordite kind of clears your thinking a bit, so you don't feel quite so nauseous. And you mostly like just shot the ground, but there was something on the ground. It is now largely unrecognizable, but there was, and you can tell from the smell, there was something bloody and organic on the ground that is now largely minced.
Is it about the same size as the raccoons that we were encountering?
No. Well, hard to tell because it's all splattered now, but you don't see any fur or limbs.
Okay. So there was something organic that I have turned into mist. Okay. As I see that and I'm recovering, it probably like gave me some real good bruising, because I didn't have like just shooting randomly without preparing, like looking around, like trying to see if there's anything else that I need to be aware of, like any other animals, because Anna said that there was multiple things.
It's quite small, and even just in the light streaming through the trees and the open holes in the ceiling and then the doorway, even without a lantern, you can see all the corners.
Okay.
No, but there in the center is just a reddish black smear and little gobbets of stuff kind of scattered all over now.
Okay.
And I'll immediately run up behind him at this point. Like, what?
Why don't you? I'm going to have you make a couple of checks. Why don't you go ahead and give me a science biology, Anna?
Okay.
In this case, it's just science because we rolled all of your
Okay.
science together into one.
A 38.
Yes, you recognize that there are a few intact chunks. This appears to be probably some, if not most, if not all, of what was missing from Ezekiel.
Oh, I'm asking because I can't remember. When we found him this morning, did any of us go back into the cabin, or did we not ever?
No.
Okay, I just couldn't remember.
And this isn't the cabin
Oh.
where you stayed last night. This is the one
Right.
where you had found the strange carvings on the wall. But no one has been here since.
Okay.
But you did detect in your thorough examination of Ezekiel that there were parts of the insides of him that were missing. You assumed consumed. You have now found that at least some of what you thought was consumed was actually placed here.
Okay. First, I'll just kind of pull Armstrong back and like sit him up on the ground, I guess. And he's looking rough and like try to clean him up and be like, okay, we're gonna stop firing for a second.
Yeah. I mean, you
He's
can't tell if he's pale
scratching.
or not because of just all the blood and guts that have become muddy streaks on his face.
He's vaguely kind of scratching at himself at some like puncture marks in his shirt and stuff like that.
You should probably do a first aid on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like those. Wait, let me look at my rolls again. How do the double zeros work?
That's 100, which is the worst possible outcome.
I think you killed
Oh,
him.
no. Did you get like 0 and then double 0? Or
Yeah.
so you got 3 zeros basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How does
that's
that
100.
work? Oh,
That's the worst possible.
then
001 is the best. 000 is 100, which is the worst. Would you like to do something about that?
maybe. What do we have?
You can flip it to make it a 1, right?
No. 000 is the only one that you can't flip.
Wow.
I just made that up, but it's the worst possible outcome.
But we have some major boons.
That would get you a
So-
reroll.
I
Did
would
we
love-
use the one that I used?
I did not type it in,
Okay.
but you guys should be able to.
Okay. So if you use it, we'll be back to 0 major boons.
Or I'll type it in.
I don't know how to do.
Is that okay if I use?
Yeah.
That's what they're there for.
Okay.
Doesn't do you any good to hoard them.
Cleaning up after our own self-inflicted mistakes.
You're going to use the last one.
Just don't roll 100 again.
That's so much better. That's less scary. Okay. Sorry, I almost killed you. So, that is a 28 out of 70. Yeah.
So,
much
so a
better.
hard success. So yes, we'll say you dash over and grab your little medical bag and come back and, wipe away the area. The wounds are not bad. They're not particularly deep. However, you do detect that there's something in the wounds,
Uh-oh.
almost like translucent splinters, like pieces of the translucent needle-like teeth that you saw on the creature are embedded in Arson's flesh. The flesh is red and hard and hot around the area.
So,
But because you got a hard success, you pull out some forceps and are able to remove at least all that you can see of the little splintered teeth that broke off in his flesh.
They got you real good.
Douse them in whiskey, you know.
I got some herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a few
Old
things.
style iodine.
Yes. It's surprisingly not particularly painful, Arson. As you look down, like even as she's pulling these little and there's a tugging on the flesh as you pull these out. And you have to be quite cautious. Like the first one you try to pull out, it breaks.
Yeah.
And it's really, you kind of have to dig into the flesh a little bit to get that one, the piece that's left underneath the skin, and pull it out. But even as she's like digging in with the pointed tip of the forceps, you don't really feel it. Or you would expect it to be more painful. But in a period of about 15 minutes, what with having to stop and kind of rinse the area because there is a bit of blood, you pull these apparently barbed, broken off teeth out of his flesh. You can't be certain that you got every tiny bit out, but you certainly feel confident that you've gotten the vast majority.
All of the ones that I'm pulling out, I'm gonna put in a little vial
Mm-hmm.
and put them all together.
Yep.
Arson is taking heavy sips from a flask from his coat pocket or his vest pocket.
Yeah, more for the nerves than for the pain. And I will say that as soon as the procedure is done and you give him another pass and clean it off and kind of wrap it up in clean cloth, then throbbing pain hits. Starting as kind of a heat and then an itch, and then it starts to kind of just throb with your heartbeat.
So I'm trying to like be stoic through it, not really let signs show of like the pain, and once Anna is done patching up, I'm gonna nod like, okay, thank you. What? There's nothing in there. Do you still see any of them around?
Well,
And he's
there's
trying to
nothing-
look around.
There's nothing in there anymore. But I know when we were going towards the door, it sounded like they were leaving in the woods. So I guess I'll do another quick look around, see if anything has changed.
Sure, spot hidden.
Ooh, 63 out of 45.
Yeah, no.
I can't really see anything now, but with all the noise and the being, pulling these teeth out of you, I haven't seen anyone, and I assume they would have come up by now. So maybe for this moment, they're gone? Or
Okay.
as far as I'm aware.
It probably took like a good 20 minutes, half an hour or something to carefully extract a bunch of
Yeah,
Barb's teeth
Yeah,
from
15 minutes.
Yeah. In that case, I'm gonna
Let's
I'm gonna go lie down.
Yeah.
And he props himself up on his feet, or kind of like crawling up his back up the side of
Yep.
the cabin. Doesn't really care about any of this other stuff anymore. He's just tottering towards the cabin where they slept.
Yep.
To go take a nap.
And help, shoulder him over there, get him kind
Remind
of set
him
up.
of the snare that you set in front of the front door because he's
Yeah,
about to step
yeah.
into it. It's like, oh no,
Like,
gotta step over that.
wait. Let's
Oh, I didn't even see that there. Oh.
get him laid down, and she'll pull out her water and give it to him.
Yeah.
Say, drink this and
Oh.
rest. And if anything, I mean, I'm not far. I'm gonna go get that thing we pulled out from under the church, and then I will be right back.
Okay.
You leave and shut the door behind you. Arson, you realize, you kind of look down, kind of on the edges of where the clean cloth covers the bite wounds. You see a faint blue glow. Hey, so Ron is on his way back. It is a very awkward largely silent. I mean, maybe in the first 5 minutes, the sheriff asks a couple of questions, and then he quickly exhausts what you know, or at least will admit to. We'll say he probes you about your family and what you're doing here in town. And unless you decide to behave very differently, my guess is you're somewhat
I'm open about it.
okay.
I'm here to, for the gold rush and just trying to get away from the farm for a while and just kind of visiting towns and just happen to stumble across this place and that's pretty much about it. I mean, Ron's pretty open about everything that he's asked. I feel like towards the end of the ride, though, I feel like Ron would get a little frustrated, just in general, and then just kind of clam up and just not say anything.
Yeah, especially when you mentioned that this was all like, let's go hunting bears.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems unlikely somehow to the sheriff and to the Reverend, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so probably after the kind of unrelenting questions and obvious skepticism, you eventually just like, it's not worth it. So the last 20 minutes are
really
in
quiet.
silence. Yes. I will say that shortly before you make a switchback, kind of right before the last final climb up to this little plateau area where the camp is, the horses get wind of something they don't like and shy a bit. In fact, would you go ahead and give me animal handling? I think. Yeah. We'll just see.
I got a 5. I got a 5 out of 25.
Excellent. Well, that is quite good. So your horse, and this is your horse that you've had for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You traveled with it, it, you can feel it kind of shift and tense, and you can just because you're attuned to it, you can see its nostrils flare and its eyes begin to roll. And you've been around when it's caught wind of mountain lions and coyotes and things like that. So to immediately start calming it. And because you aren't necessarily on the best speaking terms with the sheriff or the Reverend, it doesn't occur to, and you travel alone mostly, it doesn't occur to you to warn them. The sheriff is not as good a horseman as you are. The sheriff's horse rears.
Okay.
The Reverend immediately just slides off.
Okay.
The sheriff tries to hold on, and then the horse bucks once and does a sideways. He apparently didn't take the time to cinch the saddle on even better. He just cinched it on and went riding. And any horseman knows horses have a tendency to inhale because they don't want the tight cinch around them. And usually it's fine, but he just didn't take the time, or he's not as skilled a horseman as you are. So as the horse leaps sideways, the saddle kind of slides off to the side, dumping the sheriff. He tries to hold on to the reins, but the horse yanks them out of his hand, probably painfully, and then goes crashing off into the woods.
Okay. I'm going to try to settle the horse before it takes off.
Your horse?
No, his horse.
Oh, his horse is gone.
Oh, okay. So could I maybe try to use some rope and try to wrangle it or
You can
something?
yes, you can certainly chase after it and try to catch it.
I mean, if it's too far gone, I'm just going to lost cause. But I mean, if it's within the act of it kind of rearing up and kind of dumping them off, I was turn around and try
depend
to...
upon the roll.
Okay.
How good you are. Go ahead and give me another animal handling.
Okay.
And then, depending upon that roll, we'll get you to do a rope use.
That's a fail. That's a 34 out of 25.
You can still chase after it. You were bent over calming your horse. That horse starts freaking out. Your immediate instinct was to turn your horse away so it's not looking at the other horse freak out. and to continue calming it. And by the time you look back to see how things are going, the sheriff has just slid off and the horse is taken off. Now you can certainly chase after it and try to catch it. This is what you mean. You're a
Yeah.
cowboy.
Yeah, I would probably check on the Reverend, since he's right there, probably right underneath the horse, since he fell off first. So I would
Yeah.
probably jump off and go see how he's doing first.
You can tell without jumping off that he probably hit his tailbone. He's doing the ooh
Okay.
of someone who's just hit his tailbone. The sheriff is also not badly injured, but you can tell probably got his shoulder wrenched. And he's kind of holding it like, damn horse.
I probably wouldn't go after the horse. I'll probably stick with them so that way it doesn't seem like I'm just running off. And like it was like a plan. So just kind of stick with them and be like, sorry, you know.
You could go after it.
Is that what the sheriff is saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'll go ahead and chase after the horse then.
I mean, it's not an order, but he like kind of looks at you like, you certainly could.
Go get it. Yeah, okay. So
All right.
yeah, then I'll go ahead and go after it.
Go ahead and give me a ride at -20. 10 because you're having to ride through the woods, and 10 because your horse is still somewhat spooked.
Okay. So I got an 80. So that is a fail with the -20.
But that just means you don't catch it yet. It's just taken off.
Okay.
But you're able to keep pace. It's still a little bit out farther. I mean, you got your loop of rope on your side.
Mhm.
You're able to keep pace with it, but you aren't close enough, and you don't really have a clear shot through the woods to begin to spin up and catch it. But you know, it's a great action scene. You know, you're on your Western saddle, you've got both reins in one hand, you're smacking the side of your horse, and it's because of your very successful animal handling, it knows what it's doing. It's kind of confused because it's not used to being in the woods, but it's like, oh, okay, we're going to go rope something. I know what this means.
Yes.
So it's got its ears back and it's dodging on its own through the trees. I will allow you another attempt, but you are getting away. I mean, you're moving very quickly, so you're getting a ways away.
Okay. So for ride, another
Same.
-20.
Yeah, same penalty.
That's a 70, so that's also another fail because my ride would be an 80, so -20 would be a 60.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and use 10 luck points.
Okay.
And go ahead and bring it down to 60 and get it at least a success.
Cool. So yes, you're able to gain a little bit of ground. Use those luck points, and then now go ahead and give us a rope use.
That is a 60. That is right on the dot.
Excellent. It is a very, very near thing. Because and maybe it takes a throw or two. Like as you're weaving back and forth through the trees, you throw at it. It kind of catches on a bush, but it shies away from that and begins heading off in a different direction. You have to catch back up again. But on your second attempt, you're able to do what cowboys do. You know, get a rope around the neck, immediately kind of leap off your horse, and then kind of drag the rope around a tree to give yourself a little bit of better leverage. And it pulls, and it's like frothing, and the eyes are rolling. It's very freaked out. But eventually, over a period of a few minutes, you're able to, like, I mean, it's a trained horse. It's not a well-trained horse, but it's a trained horse. It eventually realizes that you've got it, and that it's only going to hurt itself by struggling. And it, you know, it shimmies and it kicks a little bit, and it looks at you very unhappily, but you eventually calm it enough that it's no longer a danger to itself, or a danger to you, as long as you don't get behind its hind legs.
So I want to go ahead and take it back to the sheriff and
Sure.
whoever.
And you'll be able to do that, but give me one more animal handling just to see how long it takes.
Okay. Oop. That is an 11 out of 25.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, it doesn't. I think maybe also the presence of your horse that is clearly now pretty calm. It only takes a few minutes for it to calm down enough that you feel it's probably safe to go ahead. You approach it, you pet it, you grab the reins, and eventually lead it over to remount your horse, and then kind of slowly trot it back out the woods. You were kind of racing through the woods there a bit, and like maybe you come onto the road, as it were, not exactly where you left.
Okay.
But yeah, the sheriff and the preacher are there. The reverend is preacher's kind of the sheriff has kind of sat himself up on a rock, and the reverend is standing and kind of leaned over, whispering in his ear.
okay.
And as soon as you come back, you would think that the sheriff would be grateful, but he looks at you very suspiciously. And then the reverend turns and looks at you and smiles. Well done. We thought you'd run off. Glad you came back.
It's not my horse. That would be theft. I went and got your horse and I brought it back to you.
And the sheriff cuts a glance at the reverend and stands up and dusts himself off. And it's like, well, good thing you did. I didn't want to walk back to town.
Still can.
He slowly, like, he doesn't put his hand on his pistol, but you can see his hand open and move in that direction because he interprets that as a threat. Like maybe you're gonna run off with a horse.
Yeah. After saying that, I'm just gonna kind of leave the horse and just kind of continue on my way up towards the church.
Yep.
Up to that plateau.
Yeah. So with that little misadventure, you return. Oh, what would that be? Yeah, right about 2 hours after you left. A little bit more than 2 hours after you left. So long enough for Arson to have had some hardtack and drunk some water, and for the achy throbbing to have set in and just become like a low background feeling, and whatever that nausea and disorientation that overtook you at the cabin is now mostly gone. Although you have a horrible taste in your mouth, of course. And during that period of time, you were not molested by whatever's in the woods. Jack and Jane just hanging out in the parlor at once Jane goes down to the nearby stream and buries her treasure.
My precious.
Are you guys just hanging out, chilling in the parlor at the Cedar Lodge?
Yeah, we were having a conversation in the chat. Stuff was going on. Like, wonder how they're doing. And oh, weird. I couldn't find that rock we fished out of the well. I think in the hurry, I must have left it, and hope someone else brings it down.
Oh, go ahead and give me a fast talk opposed by Jack's psychology.
Oh, 14.
Excellent.
And Jack has a 75, so Jack fails.
Okay. So cool. You believe Jane, or you just don't care.
Absolutely. Jack, being the dishonest coward he is, totally agrees to be like, he was too focused on just getting the heck out of there and away from whatever horrible thing happened. He wouldn't have given it a second thought.
Yeah.
And Jane is shaken up by the whole thing, so she's able to use that, the grain of truth in the lie.
But so you have a chance to clean yourselves up and change clothes and spend a comfortable afternoon. Cool. Well, are you doing anything?
Jack's trying really hard just not to think about it. Once he finishes food, he probably just pulls out a deck of cards and starts playing like a game of solitaire by himself.
All right. So in the midst of that, a woman bursts into the lounge, looks around, sees the two of you seated at the table, and then
Oh no, please don't be his mom.
launches herself at Jack screeching, "What did you do to my son? Where is he?"
Who are you?
I
What
can't. I
what am
can't.
I being
I
accused
can't
of?
shriek, but she's shrieking.
Not with that attitude. Whoa, calm down, calm down. We can. This is not going to help anybody. Who are you? What are you talking about?
Because of the commotion, and she's just like on Jack, grabbing, like screaming in your face, trying to claw at you. Like she's doing everything she can to get at you. What are you doing, Jane? You're just talking.
Yeah, I don't really know what to do. I'm like, I'm looking around for help for somebody to break it up.
Yeah, and as best he can, Jack's just like holding her wrist to like keep her from scratching and beating up while he tries to find out like who the heck she is and what she wants.
Well, let's see. She's not a skilled pugilist, but it's possible. No, with a 60, she's just flailing. And you're more than successful at like catching her wrists and holding them. She's screaming and crying and spitting and just glaring at you. Ernie comes out. "Annie, what are you doing? They killed my boy. These strangers come in town and lured him away with a promise of money, and now the word about town is he's dead. They probably took him up there and killed him. Why did you kill my boy?"
I'm sorry, miss. I didn't kill anybody.
That's not
Well,
what
we went and
everyone in
got the
town is
sheriff.
saying.
Well, what is the town saying?
That my boy is dead. He wouldn't be if you hadn't lured him out of town with your big city ways.
Nah.
Whatever I wrote down about hunting being big city, like, but
Who knows? You're strangers. No one trusts strangers.
That's fair. You know, we asked for a guide, and he offered to come with us. We paid him fair, but all of us went to sleep in the same spot. We all woke up, and he wasn't there. We came back into town to grab the sheriff to look into it right away. We don't
So
know
he's out there.
exactly
You left him out there alone.
no, we left half our people out there.
But he's out there, so he's alive. Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. I just heard that someone had died, and it was one of our people. I knew that he led some strangers out of town. Oh, Ernie, I need a drink. And she swoons a bit, is down, and he brings her a whiskey. Sorry, strangers. I just had heard that my boy was dead, and he's the only thing I have left in my life. My
It's
husband
very
died
understandable.
in the mines, and my little Andy died of the fever 2 winters ago. Zeke is the only thing I have left worth living for, and I thought he was gone.
I'm sure we'll know exactly what's going on as soon as the sheriff gets back.
But he's out there. He's alive, right?
Like I said, he wasn't there when we all woke up.
Yeah, we woke up and he was not in the shelter we had.
All right. Well, I apologize. Ernie, I'm going to stay here and wait with these fine folks. But here, and she reaches into a little purse and pulls out like 2 bits, and there are probably 3 bits in her entire purse. But she's somewhat chagrined now, so she's like, "Here, is this enough to buy them around as recompense for my uncivilized behavior?"
I wouldn't worry about it, especially since we don't know where he went.
You're most kind. She puts it back in. She's clearly rather threadbare. Probably was pretty, but has had a hard life.
Yeah, Jack's a little shaken up, but is not in any hurry to reveal more information to Mom.
May I ask you a favor?
Well, you can always ask.
Will you pray with me for my boy Zeke's safe return?
Well, Jane
Sure.
holds back an eye roll.
She's like, oh.
She does feel horrible though.
I'm not very familiar with the ways of the Lord, but if you walk me through it, I'd be happy to pray with you.
Well, she looked at you a little suspiciously. She said, well, just bow your head and ask our Savior for the safe return of my boy who never did nothing wrong to anybody. And then she will clasp your hands and look at you and then kind of suggest you bow your head. And then she prays for probably 20 minutes. Clasping your hands, holding your hands. Meanwhile, Jane's just like, oh, okay.
It's a very long 20 minutes. It feels like forever.
Well, her only child is in danger.
Holding one hand, taking a sip.
Is he still in danger though?
I mean, no.
I think his danger is gone.
Yeah, he's no longer in danger, but she doesn't know that.
Trying to trade looks with Jack. I went out of the situation.
Hey, good news is he's not actually in danger anymore. Bad news is, well, at least the pieces of him that we found are no longer in danger.
Exactly.
It's possible
he is
that
at peace.
Yes, it's possible that someone might be at this very moment exploding other pieces of him with their shotgun. So you can't vouch for that.
We don't know for a fact it's him.
It's true.
Yeah, it could just be a very convincing body double.
It could be someone else who, I mean, there was a lot of damage. So
there was evidence of someone going up the trail.
Who knows? Maybe
could have been Mom.
Maybe he's a murderer. It's possible.
We don't know if it was going up or going down. He could have left us up there.
It's
let us have this.
Extremely unlikely, but it's fine. I mean, the body you found was wearing Zeke's clothes, but
now Jack and I just have to figure out a way to
skip town.
Yeah, now I want to skip town. I might even tell Jack where the thing is and us both just go get it and run.
That couldn't go horribly wrong. All right. So Ron and the sheriff and the reverend arrive at the old mining camp. Anna is probably paying the most attention, and you hear horses coming up. You're on mute.
Sorry, Discord mute. Do I see them or do I just hear them at first?
Yeah, you see Ron at first. You just see Ron approach.
Anna will immediately run over and not to like spook the horse, but like go over to where they're, I guess, assuming to stop and get off their horses and stuff, and be like, so stuff's not great here. Where are Jack and Jane? Where are they? Who are these?
Well, they decided to stay back at the tavern. Didn't really question that, but that's their prerogative. But I did bring the Reverend and the Sheriff.
Yeah, at that point they crest over the little hill because you had just left them, so it took them. They had to remount and so they catch up.
What do you mean things didn't go well here? At this point, he's gonna hop off of his horse and grab his rifle.
Yeah.
I assume I'm like, just between Zeke and also Arson, there's like blood all over Anna's clothing.
Yeah, you probably have done your best to clean pieces of it off. I mean, you're not covered in gore like Arson is.
Yeah.
But yeah, you clearly, you're not clean.
Let me just prepare you. I'm.
Hold up. Where's Arson?
He's lying down right now. I think he should be up from his nap soon.
Yeah. He probably right now Arson probably like walks out of the door of the cabin. He had been he up for a little bit cleaning off his gun after he was recovering a little bit. So he's probably like poking his head out to looking at everybody.
Yeah, got a rag that you're wiping at least your exposed flesh, wiping all the gunk off of it, even though your clothing is spattered in muddy blood.
This isn't going to look very good with the Sheriff and Reverend coming up.
It for sure doesn't look good at all.
And Ron says that.
It wasn't us. It was all of those things and people and animals. And Anna will gesture over to where she was dissecting the animal trying to gather specimen.
Yes. The sheriff will kind of painfully alight from the horse. And the Reverend kind of is just like, probably expecting someone to help him down. And so he stays on horseback, and the sheriff kind of strides over and looks you up and down. Now,
I'm a
ma'am,
doctor.
there's no reason to be hysterical. Because he sees a woman who is experiencing an emotion, and so clearly he assumes that you're in the throes of hysteria.
I'm a doctor. This is all.
He kind of looks at you like, okay. It looks for a head wound. So she thinks she's a doctor. That's cute. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm portraying this guy as a bad guy. He's not a bad guy.
No, it's okay. I figured there would question. Just
What seems to have happened
animal-
here that he catches an eye catches a glimpse of Arson and sees just your state. And again, this time he rests his hand on the butt of his pistol.
Is the Reverend still on the backside of the horse?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over and help him down,
Okay.
just because
animal
he
kind
was
of
he was injured.
animal follow Ron, just kind of ignoring the sheriff a little, but not intentionally, just like more familiar with Ron and the party, and kind of just follow him and catch him up. She'll just be like, well, so we were taking a look around, trying to see if we missed anything earlier, and there were these weird animals, not animals, and she'll point back over to the thing she was dissecting. I was looking into it, but a couple of them bit Arson, and then as we were recovering from that encounter, we saw some people watching us from the tree line, and they seemed to be around the cabins. And so when we took a look, I'm still not entirely sure what happened, but Arson, whether it was the bite mark or something else, he just started acting weird and getting sick. And
Miss, you over here. Man, come explain this in a way that I can understand, because this is a lot of like, and there were animals and there was other stuff, and he was bitten, and he's just like, whoa, hold on.
I'm gonna look at Anna and be like, so where were these people that were watching you?
Thanks, Ron.
and I'll just give him a look and then point over to the cabin with the scribbling. Go
Yeah.
check for yourself then.
You've had a chance now to join this group, Arson. And in fact, the sheriff is waving you over. He gives you a once over.
As I've come over, I repeat everything verbatim that Anna said.
But it's a man talking this time, so he can understand it.
Oh, Anna's pissed.
Well, it is like the
I
19th
know.
century.
Yeah.
But
So
living in it.
yes. And Anna is kind of cute and waifish. So he's just having a hard time beyond the whole like, oh, it's a doctor, that's cute. But yes, so I will say that the sheriff poses a couple of questions. The Reverend will thank you very kind of curtly, Ron, for helping him down, and kind of surreptitiously rub his backside. And then his ears perk up when Anna indicates the creature. So while Arson and Anna are talking to the sheriff, the Reverend goes over and kind of, like, I don't know if you covered it or not, or maybe it's like laid out on a piece of burlap
now
or something.
it's like, yeah, it's been opened up, and
Yeah.
he was checking to try and see if anything was going on, if it was weird. This is.
Yeah, he hisses inhalation. Blasphemy. It's the work of the devil. And begins stomping on it.
Hey, whoa! That is my science, and she'll run over and like try to stop him.
It's the work
What are
of
you
the
doing?
devil.
What devil?
Must be destroyed.
Ooh, what?
You have to ask that, godless woman.
You're
I'm
the
gonna-
one stomping my
It's a
stuff.
foul abomination.
I would say Ron would probably step in between him and that, and just kind of like, like, not so much like push him back, but just kind of
Right.
like, you need to,
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah,
Arson is
he is clearly filled with some sort of righteous indignation. And now, like, his entire right trouser leg up to just below the knee is splattered with
Mhm.
gunk from this
I'm
piece of
gonna
a creature that he's
suggest-
been stomping on.
I'm gonna be like, Reverend, you should probably go check out the church where the boy was killed. So if you want to go ahead and do that, I'm gonna go check on these people that were watching Anna and Arson over at this cabin.
Yes. He begins muttering in Latin under his breath, probably some sort of prayer or abjuration, and makes his way into the church. You can see him stand stock still as soon as he looks inside and gets the full scene. And
Mhm.
he looks back, eyes too bright at all of you, because normal people also can suffer a bit of sanity loss when they see blood and gore. So he drops to his knees and begins to pray in a kind of sobbing voice.
I'm gonna go check
Remember
out the
when I said
cabin.
things are not great here? And turned to Ron. Things are not great here.
I could see that now. Let's go check out this cabin. Show me where it's at,
Well, okay, as I'm leading them over to the cabin, I'll explain that kind of more like, Arson was sick, and when we opened the door, he just kind of shot in. But I think parts that were missing this morning, well, some of them at least, are now the victim of the half-hammer shot. And then just take them over there.
Yes. Well, the sheriff. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as we came over here, they kept backing up. They wouldn't get closer to us, and now I haven't seen them since.
Yep. The sheriff, meanwhile, is interviewing Arson. Arson, are you doing anything other than answering the questions? Honestly, is there anything you're
no.
trying to hide or otherwise mischaracterize?
I'm looking side-eyed at the whatchamacallit, at the priest. So I think as I am answering questions, I think I would want to pull the sheriff aside for a quick word.
Yeah.
So listen, this isn't my jurisdiction or anything. But I think you've got some some lowlifes hanging around out here, some outlaws or something. They had all the opportunity. They could have attacked us. They didn't attack us. They killed Zeke. They could have, I assume, killed all of us if they wanted to, but they left us. I think they were sending a message. Someone was sending a message here, and I think you should be wary of someone in town. Anyone who knew that we were coming out here. There's something going on in your town, and you got to get a handle on it.
Well, it's a small town. Not much that anybody does that people in town don't know about.
I mean, you had to have heard of something going on, like, the local bar not getting as much traffic as it used to. Everybody's sneaking off into the woods instead of gathering up people's I assume you've got rum runners or something around here. So you don't, you're the sheriff, you don't know anything.
It's a quiet town.
There's always something, there's always a couple things people would rather keep quiet.
I mean, I don't tend to pry in people's business. I'm sure there's probably a little illegal gambling here and there. but and I'm sure more than a little fornication. But in general, nothing major.
You might want to take another look around. It looks like you missed something big here.
And you reveal your pseudo legal status as an investigator.
Yeah. I'm pulling this out. I think when I said like, oh, this isn't my jurisdiction, I would have been like subtly pulling out like a like something on the I forget the name, detective agency like letterhead.
Yeah.
To show that like, oh, I'm an investigator. Looks like I know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah. And he once he sees that, he will, he sees your name. He introduces himself as Sheriff Elvin Carver, and will share that he was a deputy up in Boulder, and now has been the sheriff here for nearly a decade. It's kind of where he plans to spend his last days because it's so quiet. So he is a little bit skeptical, but the fact that you reveal that you have a kind of a bit of a lawman background yourself, and then he asks you he does ask you in great detail exactly what happened, and you give him all the information, and then he kind of brings you with him, and he takes a look and is similarly sickened by the sight inside the church. But the impression he gives you is that he is not extraordinary by any means, but reasonably intelligent, reasonably rational. He's clearly shaken by the blood and gore, but kind of overcomes it and begins looking around, and independent of prompting notices that like there are a few tracks inside, but they're attributable to your group. And he confirms some of your suspicions that something seems off, but doesn't buy your story of brigands and rum runners, because this looks simultaneously vicious but also precise.
Yeah,
like you walk him through like there was a scuffle, clearly he was dragged inside here and then ripped apart. It's like maybe a madman with enough of his senses to pretend to be a wild animal, but clearly not an animal.
Yeah.
And
I'm thinking,
and if it really were outlaws, they just would have killed you all, because you're strangers. If there was someone from town, why kill the one person in town that people would care about? And none of it makes sense.
I think if Arson really stopped and thought about it, like he would also realize like, oh yeah, that theory doesn't track at all. But this is like weird situations. He's trying to like latch on to something normal that he knows about.
And do you tell him about the hole underneath, right?
Yeah, I think because he's probably still shouting like a little bit more than he needs to. But like, they would have noticed the wounds on him and all of the gore, and like, oh no, that's not me. That's and he goes into the story of like, yeah, I thought, if they would probably have some hideout or something. Maybe I could find it. We went under the church as raccoons or something. I don't know. The doc says it's not a raccoon, but I'm pretty sure it's a raccoon.
He goes over and looks at the stomped on mess. It's badly mangled, but it's clearly not a raccoon. And he kind of, I don't know what that is. Hold on, come with me. He's gonna go check it out. So, I think the Ron, the priest, the Reverend, will ask if you have a blanket.
For what?
For the body. We gotta take him home to his mom. Gotta see him buried in hallowed ground. Can't just leave him out here for the...
So before that, so I went to go see that cabin.
Yeah. You see exactly what we described. Um,
I didn't know if I needed to do like a sanity roll or anything like that
no, there's
Okay.
oh well, actually,
because of the carvings on the tree,
you've
or is that the different one?
have you seen them before? Oh, then yes,
Okay.
yes you do.
It's a 27, so that's a pass.
Yeah, you take a look and it's disturbing. The good news is that they're somewhat obscured by the spray of exploded innards. So you
Wouldn't that make
can't.
it worse?
Well, but it obscures the writing somewhat, so you don't get quite the full effect. But it is very creepy, and as you stand there, there is something. There have been a few times in your travels where you found yourself in a place or situation that was just wrong.
hmm
Just that it's almost like your horse. The eyes
Okay.
go wild and begin to roll, and the nostrils flare. You just have that almost atavistic sense that something in this cabin is deeply wrong. So you probably spend as little time as you can in it, but confirming that like everything that Anna and Arson told you is confirmed by your senses, and you don't
Okay.
hear or see anything unusual outside it.
Okay.
Spot hidden, actually, now I think about it.
That's a fail. That's a 57
Okay.
out of 25.
So you don't spot anything additional. And then the Reverend kind of taps his fingers at you and says, well, get a blanket or something. We need to wrap this poor boy up and take him home to his mama.
I'm gonna go over to the sheriff's horse and see if he has a blanket.
He doesn't.
I'm not really trying to give him my own blanket.
There's still a bunch of them in the your little campsite, so you can go grab one.
Okay. Then I'll just grab a blanket. Then
And then
walk.
the Reverend will, I will pray for his eternal soul, and then kind of encourages you to be the one to get all gross.
Yeah.
Wrapping up the bits that you can in the blanket, and you know ropes, and so you can tie it off and make it so that it's and most of the gushy bits have drained out
Or dried up.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, and you can hear that arson on the outside, the sheriff is going to crawl under and investigate, especially once you say a hole. And he asks, like, would it be large enough for a man to hide in? Did you go in? Did you see what was in there?
No, I didn't go in. Just got enough of a look at it to see. I mean, if it was an animal hole, then I don't want to, put my head into it. And I wanted to get out and get some other people with me there before we, went into it.
Smart enough. All right. So he's going to crawl underneath. And very similarly, he'll ask you to, seeing that you have a lantern, he'll ask you to shine it. And you do, and he kind of crawls around a little bit to the side, so you're able to hold the lantern, give him a good light. So he crawls over to it, and at first seems somewhat reluctant. And at this point, you're reminded, and there's airflow, and he's like, I wonder if it's a cave. There's all kinds of rumors of caves up here in the mountain with, there's all kinds of old wives' tales, but maybe there's some hidden cave in here. And if indeed there are some engines or other people with bad intent, we need to find out. So he goes over and kind of hoists himself over the side. You can see him like feel around and grab and find a rock and toss it in, and you hear that same kind of hissing as it hits something soft, and then you can hear a clatter, kind of an echoing clatter, almost like it hits a soft lip and then bounces and then falls freely and bounces off some rocks. Well, there's certainly empty space down there. And I see what you mean about the smell and the cold air. Here. He would have thought ahead and had a rope, and he'll kind of scooch back and have you hold on to a piece of rope that he knots around his belt.
Yeah, I tie it around one of the posts.
Yeah. And so he goes, just in case. Doesn't seem too stable. And then hello? If you're in there hiding, you best come out now. Don't make me come in there after you. Come on out now and we can talk. See what actually happened. His voice grows muffled as he kind of lowers his upper half. Are you still watching with the lantern?
Yeah, so I think I would be kind of crouched over the, like, kind of bracing myself, not crouched because I don't, there's probably not enough time, like, room to actually like get up, but I'm like kind of trying to get up, like braced on one arm up, like holding myself steady and like trying to like tip over with like just kind of like this situation, like tipping over the light,
looking like probably down on one knee looking in the gap. Yeah. So the camera sees you kind of sees him as a partially lit figure kind of yelling down this hole, and then you there with the sunlight behind you. I think there's someone down here. Come on out now. We don't want no trouble. Just come on out and talk. Everything will be okay. And he pokes his head out and looks at you and kind of squints the light. He's like, I think I see an arm reaches behind him. It's so quick that you have just enough time to register on your face alarm. It's just enough time for him to start to turn his head as he reads the expression on your face as it wraps around him and yanks. There's a sickening series of snapping noises. The rope grows taut, and then you hear the post behind you crack. And it slams itself into this gap in the skirting around the church, and then pulls, and you can see the clapboards buckle, and then there's another twang as the rope itself is severed. That is loud enough that those of you in the church, Ron and the Reverend, definitely hear it. I think Anna probably is aware of the commotion. What do you do?
So just to kind of put myself, so I'm imagining that like I was at the, whatchamacallit. So I was by where the hole was, so we had probably like opened up the hole a little bit more so we don't have to like crawl under.
Yeah. You're probably 15 feet away.
Yeah. So I am going to get my shotgun, and I'm going to try and I'm going to point it down in, and I'm going to call out, Sheriff? I've already forgot his name.
Sheriff Carver.
Sheriff Carver? And probably, like, I mean, he's almost certainly dead, but...
Well, no, you hear responses. You hear someone kind of moan and grunt.
Maybe, Carver, can you hear me? Are you...
Maybe it was just an illusion. Maybe he just fell. And then you see an arm hook over the edge. And then another. And then another. And the earth around that hole begins to bulge upward.
I'm going to shoot at one in the hands.
All right, go ahead and give me a fire.
I'm hearing
23.
Yes.
Which is the good but not great success.
Yeah. So yes, you. How much damage do you do with your shotgun?
Oh, with a shotgun is this is close range, right?
Yeah.
So that's 46.
Roll it up.
Of hearing the snapping of the rope, I feel like Ron would have ran over to the hole.
So you're running out of the church?
Yes.
Because all this is happening like underneath the floor below you. So you'd have to
Mhm.
okay, cool.
Yeah, I would have ran out and tried to find him, so I would have circled and
Okay, so you're currently running around the side as you hear the shotgun go off.
that's fine.
Anna takes out her pistol and is looking around, seeing if anyone else is watching this time.
17 damage.
Ooh. Yes, you hit it and a couple of arms are just blown off. And there's a sing-songy, like almost like a child's song, melodic moan that comes through many throats. It's not a sound of pain or alarm. If anything, it's somewhat calming. Arson, I definitely want you to give me a sanity check.
Yeah. That is a 2.
Ooh. Yes. At first you feel like, huh. And it's kind of interesting or entrancing, and then you realize this is real messed up, dude. And even though those arms were blown off, they still continue to move a bit, and then more just sprout out as something or things begin to try to pull themselves out of the earth. Everyone now hears the singing. So I would like everyone to give me a sanity check.
Is that for Jack and Jane as well, or just those present?
Just the people who can hear it.
Okay.
21.
Okay, good.
77,
Which is a fail.
which is a fail.
All right. So we'll say you come skidding around the corner, you hear the shot, you look inside, you see this, and you hear this. Roll a d6 for me.
Ooh,
Anna, you'll take 1. Because this is creepy, but you succeeded.
that is a 4.
So you take 4. And you can almost feel this, like, it's strangely enticing. But what you see is mind-breakingly awful.
Mhm.
But something about these many voices singing in this almost like a lullaby,
Mhm.
almost like speech, but not any recognizable words, lulls you for a moment. And
Okay.
then Arson grabs you and pulls you back. This bulge is high enough now that the arms that are coming out are scratching against the floorboards beneath.
Okay.
The good news is the only person who is in the church at the moment is the Reverend. What do you do?
I would assume that Ron would have probably been trying to crawl in because he was being tranced from the thing.
You weren't required to crawl in.
Oh,
It's more like a
no,
pause
no.
for a second.
Well, I would assume that the singing and then like the way it looks, everything was kind of like mesmerizing to him. So I feel like he would have started crawling in, and then Arson would have grabbed him.
Sure.
I would probably kind of come out of it a little bit and yell to the Reverend to get out of the church, and hopefully he hears me.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything. You can now see, although Arson has pulled back the lantern, but because of the pressure, you can hear popping, and gaps are opening up in the floorboards as you can see this mound is pushing up against the floor, allowing little slivers of light in. It's just a mess of moving nightmare. Over that, you hear the voice of the Reverend raised in prayer, but it's not alarmed. It sounds jubilant. It doesn't sound completely well organized, but you hear, He has come. Salvation is at hand. Rejoice. Do you hear the voice of his angels? What do you do?
I would probably shoot at the bulge.
All right.
How Arkham did. Just
All right.
kind of panic shot.
Yep. Go ahead and give me a. I'll apply a
Fire
minus
rifle.
10 on this one because it's not well lit anymore. It's just
Okay.
kind of shifting light.
That is a 68, so that's a fail.
Okay. The shot thuds into the earth.
Okay.
And or maybe hits parts of whatever this is, but not enough to cause any effect. So you guys
would
are around the side.
I would probably start scrambling backwards, kind of like shoot, and then kind of like, oh, that didn't do anything, and just kind of like on my butt, kicking my feet,
Yep.
trying to get away from this thing.
Yep. So Ron's scooting back. What are Arson and Anna doing?
Also on my feet, like getting away. I'm still have the gun aimed towards the like general direction of the church as I'm backing away, but not like aiming at anything in particular. And just like slowly, like step by step, like not taking my eyes off it, backing up. And I am I'm backing up towards the cabin where our stuff is.
Okay. You guys are back. What is Anna doing?
Originally Anna, because she didn't peek down and like look in the hole, she
Yep.
was just kind of standing off, like keeping an eye on the situation. So if first, well, because originally she wanted to look and see if there was anything like watching them this time. But with the kind of they're all shooting down there and the Reverend's starting to talk, I guess want to like run around the front and peek in the door of the
Yes.
church and see if he's like okay or if he's crazy or
He is
Let's-
standing. You can see he's having a hard time maintaining his feet because he's standing on these buckling floorboards, but he's standing. He's got his arms out and his eyes cast up at the heavens in rapture. Kind of half mumbling, half singing about salvation, about revelation, about prophecies coming true.
is it oh sorry
No, go ahead.
is it possible to just reach in, grab him and
Oh,
Get
you could
out?
run in.
yeah, like super quick, but
Okay,
not wanting to get stuck in there, so if I have to leave him I will,
cool.
but if I can
I would like you to give me a dodge, please.
okay.
Anna, no.
Well, I want to talk to him. He's sussy. Okay. So how does luck work again?
You spend points of luck, and every point of luck you spend reduces your roll by 1, by an equal amount. So if you missed it by 10, spend 10 luck. Also, minor boons count for a 10.
And I'll just use, because if it gets to the number, then we're good as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Okay, then I'll use 7 luck points and bring it down to a 25, which is what my dodge.
Cool. So you run in and say, Reverend, come on, which is what a good person would do. And although you do lose your footing in what happens next, nothing immediately terrible happens to you. As you get probably 3 running strides into the church toward the Reverend, trying to get his attention, the floorboards underneath him rupture.
Shit.
And this mass of long arms just begin grabbing a hold of him. And then whatever this is begins to pull itself out of the hole, lifting him up in the air 5, 10, 15 feet, slamming him through the roof. This column of twisting appendages and flesh. There's a not particularly healthy crunch as his head hits the ceiling, but his voice changes. It's clearly not doing well, but you're having a hard time keeping track of exactly what's happening. But those of you outside see, led by the battered body of the Reverend, this column of writhing flesh punching through. You can see on the inside, Anna, you can see just more of this mass spilling out into the church,
I'll be
filling the
backing up
area.
now. I'll
Yes.
be leaving now.
Well, go ahead and give me a sanity check.
Yeah, that too. But
Those of you on the outside can see the clapboards of the walls begin to bulge out. You can see hands scrabbling at the windows, pushing through, grabbing a hold of the wood clapboard and starting to rip it apart. The whole thing bulges from within.
This isn't no beanstalk.
I did pass my sanity, 34 out of 57.
Good, then you take one. And you are able to kind of half reverse crab crawl your way out.
Never mind. The question wasn't that important. It's
You
fine.
can ask a question if you like.
Oh no, Anna wanted to
I would say,
talk to the priest.
we can pick this up later.
Yeah.
Scoot back. So as Anna comes kind of half tumbling down the three short steps that lead up to the church, it kind of splays on the dust. At about that point is when the wood panels begin to fly off. And the whole, like at the very apex of this is the figure of the Reverend, neck at an unhealthy angle, blood streaming out of his ears and eyes and mouth, but he still has enough life in him to continue his prayer of jubilation. And then the entire process reverses very rapidly, just back down in the hole. The church collapses. We'll say Arson has just enough time to kind of run around and drag Anna out of the way as the entire front facade of the church collapses down onto the ground, so you aren't crushed underneath it. Y'all gonna stick around?
No.
You want to investigate further?
I think it's
No.
time to get back to town. Go join Jack and Jane.
Yeah.
I should have stayed in town with them.
If we're still there.
Right. So you rapidly just grab up what you can, hop on your
I just
horses,
hop on the horse.
hop on your horse, and just get going.
Leave everything there.
Ron's like, see y'all
Nope.
back in town, Woo-hoo-hoo, and then takes off. So as the three of you ride at fastest speed away from this abandoned mining village and now collapsed church, the impression you are left with is the faint croaking prayer of the Reverend echoing up through the now enormous hole in the ground. And that's where we'll stop.
I knew that Reverend was bad.
Tune in next time for the thrilling conclusion.
You were the one that wanted to bring him.
So far, no one's died. I mean,
Worst fishing
Well.
trip ever.
Yeah,
Players.
so far only 3 people have died, but none of the player characters have died, so that's good.
Hmm.
And collectively,
that
you've
means
only
we're all
lost like 20 points of sanity, which is not that bad. Cool. So yes, tune in same time, same channel next week for the thrilling conclusion of Cowboys and Cthulhu. I think you saw in the first episode the kind of cowboy part. Now you're getting the more Cthulhu-y part. Cool. Hey, let's do the circle around and say who you are and where people can find you. SJ.
I'm SJ or SJ_sidekick. I do not stream, but you can usually find me on here. I think after this last session, then Masks picks up in a similar time slot. So I'll be on that. Yep.
My name is Your Only Villain or Villain. Depends on which channel you find me at. That's pretty much about it. I mean, I'm just here hanging out.
Yep. And we'll vamp out for a bit, but I know you got to run, so feel free to
Okay.
chill out, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye, Dylan.
See ya.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Chev. You usually find me in somebody's chat. I play card games on the internet a couple times a week with my wonderful cat, keeping us company as we listen to music. And So if that sounds like your vibe, then you're welcome to come stop on by. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie. I can be found here. Sometimes I stream on my channel, but it's very random and just kind of when I'm inspired. But other than that, I just like hanging out in all these wonderful communities. And so, yeah, you can find me around. Cool.
Hey everyone, I'm Erthos or Lord Erthos. In chat, you can find me here on C Plus Content and in various communities for friends of the channel. I'll be here again next week as we wrap this one up, and we'll be leading a new game, Chronicles of Darkness game, that'll be kicking off later this month on Saturdays. So stay tuned for that.
Lovely. And I am Zero or Zero Daylight or Michael or DM or GM or Keeper, as in this case. Catch me 1 or maybe 2 times a week. And you just heard all the stuff that is coming up. So we've got Masks coming up. We've got the World of Darkness game that Ethos is running coming up, and then other stuff that's on the calendar. And as everyone's schedules kind of hopefully calm down for the fall and winter, we should pick up the pace again. So yeah, come hang out with us. Everything that we do here live also lives over at cpluscontent.tv, which is our YouTube channel. So if you missed the first one of this, go ahead and head on over there and check it out. It is in the spooky channel. Yeah, there's like, I don't know, like 1,000 hours of TTRPG shenanigans documented over there. So head over there. If you do not currently subscribe to our YouTube, please do. It is free. You can even hit the alarm bell to be notified when we have new content available, which is roughly 24 hours after it's broadcast live here. And you're always welcome to follow our Twitch channel, which you are currently watching. Don't subscribe. I don't do it for money. But follow it, hit the alarm bell so that you can be notified when we go live. So cool. We will see you guys back here next week, and we should probably go hang out with someone. I know Meg was live last week. It doesn't look like she's live now.
I'll give her a TwitchCon.
Oh, that's right. Well, Fee is playing Conan Exiles. We've got Cypher of Tyr playing Call to the Lamb. We've got, or I'm open to suggestions. We should.
Those people on my list, they're all Star Wars people, so not quite the.
Captain TV is streaming at TwitchCon, but it's
stream
less chat. No, they have something else going on. Awesome Marvel stream.
Yeah, you know what? Let's hit them up because our friends are friends of and in fact employees of Captain TV. So might as well go ahead and hit that up. And if you are a Stream Raiders player, which I know many of our audience members are, then it can be a good chance to get in. They're probably giving away fun stuff. So let me Captain TV see if that is going to work. Yep. Okay, cool. Raid queue is loading up. And as soon as it's full, I will have us raid over. Say hi to whoever is moderating the Captain TV.
Raid call commands.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
I don't remember what they are, so.
It's raid and raid 2. Yeah, go ahead and grab the, if you are a subscriber to the channel, go ahead and grab the one with the fun emojis. If not, just grab the one with the other thing. And say hi. Spread the love around. And we will see you here next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.